Georgia, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to In the Groove on 3.5. We're here today with Harry. I always want to struggle with your last name. I want to give you the chance to give us a perfect pronunciation.
Everyone gets it wrong. It's just Weinger. It's just bottle of wine. Weinger.
Excellent. From the UME division of Universal Music Group, you're our VP of A&R.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to mention that that's the catalog division. And for me, my background, catalog means a lot of different things. For you, catalog is what?
Every day.
It's
So
releases
explain-
that aren't
yeah.
like
So-
brand new releases, but how far back does catalog go? Or when does
100
catalog start? And
Could be
where does it
100
end?
years. So the way we determine what is catalog is based on records not only from back in the day, right? Old school, back, whatever you want to call it. But anything really from 3 years or 2 to 3 years from today and then back.
Yeah.
And that's everything from kind of administering, how things get sold or get into stores or how things are managed digitally, to doing creative side of things like what I'm involved in with what do you do with the catalog. That could be something new IP, or even if it's just, reissuing an album and making sure it's exactly like the original one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And getting the sound right and picking the right engineers to master it and cut lacquers or create a digital master. And so you're managing all these different things. So you're sometimes talking to a manager of an artist who is still around, could be current, but has a back catalog like Bon Jovi. They have 40 years of a catalog,
Mm-hmm.
and they're current on island.
Yeah.
Or you've got something like Bob Marley or Marvin Gaye or James Brown, where they're representatives of the estate. And then you're talking to them about creative ideas and also some basic things of how to manage the catalog. What's the photo that you're going to see when you pull them up on Spotify or Apple or Tidal or Amazon? What's that image? How does that best represent the artist? And what is the sound quality of the audio, and what is the visual quality of the album jackets? So you're looking at all those things consistently, and then you're also responding to things that happen in the culture, whether it's TikTok or a Super Bowl ad that gets some sort of viral activity, or anything that pops up on socials
Yeah.
that you can respond to in some way, whether it's elevating the existing material, remixing that material, slowing down, speeding up, excerpts, things happen,
Yeah.
and you got to be ready to respond. There's an older model that I came up in where you're working towards a release schedule of what are we doing for fourth quarter, and how many CDs are we making, whatever the bucket is, whatever the format is. There is still that, but it's really more about that daily thing I'm talking about, which is what's happening today. What am I doing for the Bee Gees today? What's happening with Sinatra out there? What are we looking ahead to do for 2025 and beyond?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like you said, the keeping in touch with what's culturally happening right now and reacting to the digital landscape with physical media is really impressive. And the little bit I know about you, I think what piques my interest is the archaeology kind of aspect of it.
Yeah.
You're digging deep for every piece of it, and I hadn't thought of it before about working with the family of an estate or something like that, and finding a photo that's going to work well to represent the artist, represent the time, represent let's be real, the product that's going to come out and be in a consumer's home, be in my collection maybe. I think that's really interesting part of it that I don't know, people might not think of all the time. You think of finding the masters and finding the tapes.
Yeah, and then, there are subtle things or not so subtle, like if you have an older artist where the imagery is mostly black and white, maybe pick a color shot for their profile photo, just so it doesn't seem old.
Yeah.
Some things can be timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And then with master tapes, you know, there are different schools of thought on how you approach what is a master. The existential question of what is the original. Is the original actually the one you want to have out? Or is it the one that someone worked on to EQ properly and level? Do you want to work? Anyway, it's a big rabbit hole. But it's one that we deal with, you know, especially if we're looking to do, like, you know, things we're going to talk about today, some of the physical product.
Yeah.
You're always asking the question, we talked about this, but we've always, for everybody else, we always ask this question, you know, what is it? Right?
Yeah.
What and who is Bob Marley? What is Exodus? What does it mean? What is the tape? What is the cover? What are the liner notes? Where's the fade out? What's the side break? If there's no side break, what's the space in between what would have been A and B for CD and digital? You know, if you find a tape that is the original and there's more to the music, do you use that? Is that the original? These are questions that, from an A&R, artist and repertoire perspective, come up all the time.
Yeah. I think that's a thing I've been thinking about lately, too, is music as art. Each time it's performed, it's malleable. It's a little bit different. The mood, the energy in the room might change a little bit. So, like you mentioned, we brought some stuff with us. You brought it up for us. Some releases that are they all out right now?
Yeah, these are all out on uDiscoverMusic.com. They're in the artist store and on the uDiscoverMusic.com store. There's special versions of various records. Do you want to talk about this one?
Let's start with Exodus, yeah. Because
All
this
right,
is one that I think, this is an example of like a little bit different versions, a little bit different masters, but it's also the different cover art.
Yeah, and this one in particular, this is the cover, right? Say, what is it? Exodus. This is the cover of this classic record, and if when he signed Island, I think this is his 7th record, if I got this right. Somebody can correct me in the chat, but I know them by heart in sequence, but I can't do it in my head while I'm talking. So he, in the wake of an attempted assassination, he goes to London for safety. And he and the band cut actually 2 records. They cut a bunch of songs, and they go see The Clash, and they're really inspired by the punk movement, which results in a song we'll talk about that's not on the record. But Bob creates this incredible thematic record that also has beautiful love songs, sort of divided by the 2 sides that were reflective, and there's more romantic songs on the other side. Cuts this record in London, also at the same time records songs that become Kaya, which is the follow-up record, but they're all done at the same time. So any of you have seen One Love, the movie? There's a scene in the movie with Bob's friend and graphic designer and lighting director and overall jack of all trades, Neville Garrick, who recently passed, rest in peace. Wonderful guy. He, in the movie, as they're working on the record, comes to Bob and says, I have an idea for the cover. And Bob's like, no. What happens on my side of things is that I talk to the estate, and the conversation is, hey, what are we going to do around this film that's coming out around his birthday? I said, well, you know, we've done it all. We've done all the records. And I go, yeah, we've got this alternate cover. Why don't we put Exodus out? Sorry if I'm hitting the mic.
Oh, that's all right.
Why don't we put Exodus out with this alternate cover? Great. Let's do that. And then the conversation is, well, what do you do with the original artwork? So, you know, there's okay, we should at least show it. So if you're at home and you want to show this on your wall, like behind me, this way, and if you want to start a conversation, you can show it that way. And then you have the original inner sleeve, which is that, which is cool, right?
So is that the original design for the inner sleeve?
The original
as well?
design for the inner sleeve. There's
I'll
other
be
little.
honest, I don't have a copy of Exodus yet. So I might have been holding out for a good reason because
Yeah.
this version has a little bit extra to it too.
A little extra,
right?
well, because a couple little graphic things before I open it up. So the original has this raised lettering because it's very spare. Reasonings why there's a particular typefaces in the notes that's inside that are new. But raised lettering, there might be some reissues that, to save expense, don't have the raised lettering. Then for the alternate cover, it's also raised. So we kept that theme, even though it's designed differently, we kept the raised lettering. And then that's the original back cover. We made a gatefold. That's the original back cover. And I worked with Herbie Miller, an old friend who's now the director of the Jamaican Music Museum in Kingston,
Oh wow.
to write an essay about the impact. And he knew Bob, and he was around when this record was being made. So he wrote a story about the context of making of the record, the context around this idea versus this idea. Oh, and by the way, it's numbered on the back too. There's these little numbers.
Yeah.
So it's cool. But, you know, one thing that the family said to me was, we need to do something different. I said, well, we've got this different cover. And they go, yeah, but, you know. So I did look into it, that there were different sequences for the record.
Okay.
I thought, well, you know, we'll do a different sequence. It's not mess around. You know, it's just, the album is the album, but there are extra tracks. So, you know, as long as we're in the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
fellow nerds, the B-side of Waiting in Vain is a song called Roots, not on the record. The B-side of Jamming is a song inspired by Bob seeing The Clash called Punky Reggae Party,
Okay.
which was produced by Lee Scratch Perry, with whom he'd worked with early in his career and throughout. And they do this track kind of after Exodus is, you know, being finished, they cut Punky Reggae Party. So looking at that, I thought, why not create a disc of things that aren't on the record?
Okay.
And I wanted to do, we had a bit of a template where we had another artist had done a 10-inch extra. I thought, let's do a 10-inch extra. But Punky Reggae Party and Roots don't make a 10-inch. And I realized that Jamming and Exodus both had dub versions, which usually the Jamaican B-sides of the instrumentals. In fact, Lee Scratch Perry was one of the instigators of dub with crazy mixes.
Yeah.
So, dub version of Exodus, dub version of Jamming, Roots, and the B-side, we've got the 9-minute dub version of Punky Reggae Party, which was on the 12-inch. So
Wow.
we created this 10-inch that's inside the record. That's a little bonus. Real simple, but if
Very
those
clean.
of you who are watching, well, it's clean like that.
Yeah.
Okay? But red, gold, and green,
Yeah.
Jamaican colors. And we got the red in there by my little silly dad joke of saying, hey, it's not Exodus, it's Exodub. Okay.
I'll give you credit for
Yeah,
that
we'll
one.
give you. So anyway, so the B on there, you know, we
Yeah.
made a little punky. You see the kind of
Yeah.
spray paint version of it. So, yeah, love the green. I saw Jay Dunk. Thank you. I
Excellent.
love the green. It was a Rebecca Meek, whom I've known forever
Oh, wow.
as a designer back east, now lives in Jamaica. So she had the Roots vibe working
Yeah.
and designed this in her home in Jamaica. And I'm very happy she got involved. Herbie got involved. Everyone's kind of happy. So what I wanted to do is actually play, and we can keep talking because I'll put on the dub versions, which are the instrumentals.
Excellent.
All right, we got this?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go over here. Oh, see, I know
And-
the on button is.
Yeah. To the left is our 33.
Yeah. It is 33. That was the conversation. Do you do 33 or 45 with a 10-inch? So we did 33.
Yeah.
I better not be wrong. Put the needle on the record.
Excellent. So, how many times are we turned up?
There we go.
There. Excellent.
This is the dub. It's kind of created out of the second half of the record.
Yeah.
called version.
And digging into something like this, the anticipation to see the needle drop and the song play, how many times do you listen to something before it's even finished as a product? Like as you're working on it, researching it, you find master tapes.
Hopefully dozens of times.
Yeah. Because you go through like a few sample test pressings and things like that.
Yeah, you go through, you get often a digital copy of the master tape, high-res digital copy, 192/24 for your nerds out there.
Yeah. We're in the family.
24. You check that to make sure it's correct. Usually you get a scan of the tape box, which will give you some information, but you always have to listen to it because you never know.
Yeah.
Something might have skipped in the transfer. They might have transferred. The tape in the box might be different. So. And then once you're satisfied with that, you either send it off to be EQ'd or mastered in some fashion, and you have a lacquer cut. And then sometimes you'll get a layback, as they call it, of the lacquer before it goes to the plant, just to be sure. Sometimes I will request an acetate, which is as if it's a 1-to-1 test pressing. Those are rare. That's costly, but sometimes for certain artists or certain products, you'll do that.
Yeah.
It goes to the plant, and then you'll usually get 5 test pressings, and you either share those with the estate or the artist or a producer, or somebody gets 2, you get 2. You allocate that. Then you've got to listen to those.
Because that's like final approval stage.
Right,
Like
and
you
then
want it to
those
be
are
perfect at that stage.
Right. If there's any clicks or pops or noise, or the record is warped, or somehow it's in the wrong sequence, or side A is pressed on side B. I once got something where side B was a completely different record. I don't know what happened at the plant.
Yeah.
But you got to listen.
Yeah.
You just, that's the move.
Part of the job.
Part of the job is, a 30-minute record can take you 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if there's problems, just in terms of the daily job, is because it's not digital, listening to a test pressing means when the song starts, you got to hit your stopwatch on your phone. Because you can't say to the plant, well, there's a click on track 2. Where?
Yeah.
So you have to tell them specifically it's a 320 and 08,
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
part of it too.
Yeah, things we lose when we go from analog to digital world.
I have no problem with digital. Trust me. I don't, just in terms of convenience, the ability to kind of hear everything, although that itself can be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, over the long July 4th weekend, I put on, I listened to a bunch of vinyl. It was almost like a relief from the digital world.
Yeah.
And not have it be work. Just listen to Cannonball Adderley, who's a saxophone player I really like. Or, can I say a non-UMG artist? Santana, or Stevie Wonder or something like that. Just to, the analog vibe from a record is great. It's different energy in the air.
Yeah. I'm a recent convert, and exactly, it's a different energy in the world or in the air. Playing off analog, playing off physical, and
hey, this is the wrong speed. Hey, everybody. Nobody caught me. Wrong speed. Which is
click to the left for 33.
Oh, man.
We might need a new turntable.
No.
It went in reverse the other day. I don't know what that means.
See?
Oh.
Right on the mark. There we go.
And I was just talking.
See, that's sped up mix. That was a sped up mix.
Yeah, that's exclusive here. You can cut that for a TikTok or something maybe. But
I wanted to say there is something. Of course, growing up, that was how it was normally. The tech only allowed you to wait for the needle to go on the record. You had to be soft with it.
Yeah.
Then you had to anticipate the end of the side so the needle didn't stick and start. Then you had to go and pick up the record and flip it over, and hopefully you cleaned the record and did the thing with the needle again, and then waited. We're patiently conscious of the record getting to the end.
Yeah.
So where you're interacting with this physical format, that to me that's just the existing technology.
Yeah.
Now that the existing technology has been around for 25 plus years, and you're rewired to go back to records, boy, it feels great.
I've said since I've started picking up records of my own that it's an intentional way of experiencing music and participating with what the artist has put out. You're there to, like you said, the physical aspect. You're choosing that, I want to say platter, but it's not, that physical piece of vinyl. Is it a plastic? Technically a plastic. You're selecting it, you're putting it there. There's so much of the moment, and I'm sure somebody probably saw me, the anticipation to hear that 10-inch hanging on the edge of my seat, waiting for it. That's all intentional, like
Sure.
with the digital platforms, you click once or you hit something, touch screen, and it's just go. And it almost, for me, it's always, well, not always, but it's been a lot of background, and it's not intentional. It's not participate.
You're letting the algorithm take you, which can be fun.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that you are going to the shelf and going, that one.
Yeah.
And having it be your own physicality that moves the needle.
For me, it's also taking the laziness out of it. You are choosing the one that you definitely want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just, I'll just click on something, I'll let it run and like move on with my day. But
Absolutely.
I'm definitely here right now to listen to 10-inch dub of Exodus. B-sides.
Jamming,
Yeah.
Jamming dub. Jazz Mindkind says, what song from this vinyl? The 10-inch?
Oh.
I suppose it's probably the dub of Punky Reggae Party. Bob does a lot of interesting scatting, which is great.
Is this the first time that's on vinyl?
No, there was an original
It's like a
12-inch, but
10-inch
it hasn't
version?
been on vinyl. These tracks haven't been on vinyl, I don't know, since the 70s.
Wow.
So you can only get Roots if you bought the 7-inch of Waiting in Vain.
Wow.
There's been CD compilations and
Yeah.
deluxe editions.
Yeah.
But, all right, so this is that B-side. It's
So let's make sure we're
Not.
running the link in chat for people to buy their copy if they want Roots on vinyl. This is the first time to get it unless you're digging in bins somewhere for the 70s release, right?
yeah, and the website should have the description because, as you'll notice, there's no track list,
Yeah.
right? This is great.
Yeah.
I once heard a great quote. It's been through history, people are like this. It seems more accelerated now, but I don't want to sound like the old man on the porch, but this is a song that's an interesting example of stating this fact that there's some people in the world who want fruits but don't want to dig for the roots, So I think that's what Bob is talking about.
I feel like nearly all of his songs and his intentions were always so much deeper than the first glance,
Yeah,
Growing up, the first time I heard Jamming and Legend, the whole album, I took it at surface level and, just absorbed it. But there's so much depth to it.
Yes. I don't know that we're equipped to go into it.
Right?
But
we
certainly
have so much time, and
we
we're
can-
talking about Exodus.
We can. Herbie Miller in the note says Exodus remarkably encapsulates and reflects Jamaica's social conditions, its people's affliction, and the shrewdness of its political leadership. It is a sequence of autobiographical compositions and reflects the island's attractiveness and hysteria. A timeless document, the public reveals the contemplations and reflections on the life of one of the 20th century's most revered artists and revolutionaries.
Yeah. Wow.
I think we often turn to Legend, great compilation, classic sequence, great choice of tracks, brought Bob into greater visibility around the world, been on the charts for 40 years, but directed as to be more lovey-dovey songs, right? There's less political content than his albums, and his thoughts reflect it.
Yeah.
I think the more you can get into some of what he's saying, I was working on a live album last year, and last year, the year before, and you know, there was particularly during the Black Lives Matter, I wouldn't call them protests, but expressions of outrage that were happening. There were so many things in Bob's songs that were like, this is what's happening right now. And he was talking about this in the 70s. And my parents marched against things in the 60s and 50s and 40s, of things that are still happening. So it's important, I think, to go back to Bob and reflect on some of the things he's singing about and was all about. Mm-hmm. End of the side?
Yeah.
Shall we keep going? On Bob, you want to...
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we feeling?
I would love to hear this, what is it, 9-minute version of Punky Reggae Party?
Yeah.
If you want to take a break from chatting about it, we can let it run by itself.
All right. So remember, this is the dub. This is the dub that doesn't have all the lyrics, right? The dub has some chorus that comes in and out. But he's talking about going to see the Jam and the Clash. And he did see them at the Rainbow Theater, which is where he ended up performing the weekend that Exodus had come out. He did a bunch of shows at the Rainbow.
Okay.
And we did Rainbow June 4th, which was the best show and was filmed as a double album, which you can still get. Interestingly enough, the initial idea was to take the best of 4 nights. He did 4 nights.
Wow.
But once we realized June 4th had been filmed, that, you know, it really was the best night. All the nights are great. I went back and dug into June 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And June 1st, he does half of Exodus and then abandons it the next 3 nights. So June 1st is completely different. So we ended up putting June 1, 2, and 3 out digitally.
Okay.
Similar covers, but images from the night at the Rainbow. And the Rainbow, in anticipation of the album Exodus coming out, right? June 3rd, 77. He did Europe and then was coming back to London where he had recorded the album, triumphant, 4 nights. And then he's going to North America where radio stations are starting to play the album. WBLS, which is a black music powerhouse that I listen to a lot, was playing Exodus. And everybody at Island and the band and everybody who followed Bob and was supporting this movement was like, here we go. And before he does London, he's got pains in his foot. And the doctor's like, you can't perform. He's like, I have to perform. So that he'd come off the stage and he wore boots. His boots would be filled with blood. And he'd had this infection that wasn't getting better, which ended up becoming more severe. I don't know if that's becomes the exact thing that killed him, but part of this thing where he wanted to keep going despite hurdles and physical ailments. So they ended up having to cancel the North American tour. So June 4th was the last show for the Exodus tour. He ended up touring behind Kaya, but
wow.
And did have Punky Reggae Party as a reflection of his time in London.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Dub-wise.
Yeah.
Let's see if I do this right. Okay. Sound? Oh, there it goes. It's a long lead and groove.
Yeah. All right. Are we full on the record here, Chuck?
So please
collection of Bob Marley myself, and I don't think I heard that much music scat from Bob. Yeah.
We actually did a little. We were looking to do like little visualizers for every song on Legend. Some have a music video. This is Love, I think, has a music video. And so for Punky Reggae Party, we did this cool visualizer. And Sedella, If I Can Tell Tales, that was cool. So we did something fun with the voice cat part.
Yeah.
We have the visuals going exploding. And,
Right. Really emphasize it.
really emphasize his little improv there.
Right.
All right. I remember, try not to let the needle bump up against the out groove,
Mm-hmm.
the lead out. There we go. Cool.
And if anybody's just joining us, we're listening to a few new releases, going through some special products that are out on uDiscoverMusic. The links are in the chat.
There's a discount code in the chat, too.
Yes.
But we just listened to a little bit of Bob Marley, Exodus, which, if any of you know the catalog, that's the original cover, right? And in the movie, One Love, there's a conversation around an alternate cover, and we decided, hey, let's put it out in a limited edition numbered with the alternate cover, right? Open it up, you've got the original back cover of the album over here. Essay here by Herbie Miller, my man Herbie Miller in Kingston, Jamaica. He runs the Jamaica Music Museum there. Was around during the making of this record. A lot of cool things to look at, kind of interpret the cover, interpret the back cover. It seems straightforward, but there are some interesting dynamics in terms of the lettering and where Bob's name is placed, as well as what's going on here. But to make it real different, in collaboration with the family, we added a 10-inch to the album of things that are not on the record. So there's two songs. One is a track called Roots, which was the B-side of Waiting in Vain from the album. And then we have dub version of Exodus, a dub version of Jamming. And then there was a song called Punky Reggae Party, recorded right after the album was finished, produced by Lee Scratch Perry. And it was the B-side of Jamming, but we found the 12-inch, the dub, the Jamaican dub is on here. So the whole 9-minute extravaganza, which we just heard with Bob scatting, which is pretty cool. And that's just slipped into the gatefold here, and the album is in there. The album with the original
new viewer there,
inner sleeve.
Skydog. Thanks for joining us. The alternate cover, I think the story is what's inside, right?
The story, yeah. So essentially, Neville Garrick, who was Bob's friend and graphic designer and lighting director, and sometimes on the live boots and the live albums, you can hear an announcement. That's usually Neville. Sometimes it's the tour manager. But
I always feel like the wear multiple hats thing is a new phenomenon. That
No.
sounds like it's always happened.
No, man. So Neville apparently approached Bob with this idea, and Bob said, "No, it's in the movie. There's basically, I don't want to affect an accent. It's silly, but apparently, Bob just said, no, brother, let's try something else."
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, here in Herbie's notes, Garrick offset the band's name, Bob Marley and the Wailers, in standard black lettering against Exodus in red, embossed, virtually sculpted Ethiopian letter forms on a golden surface across the middle of the cover. The three colors subtly reference the Rastafarian movement, which we also reflected. We have the Jamaican colors on the 10-inch. Changing the cover was Bob's call.
Yeah.
And apparently the label didn't like this either because there's no picture of the band.
Yeah.
There is on the back, but even then, there's a treatment of their photo, of their image. There's like see the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a stark publicity photo. I mean, not a beautified publicity photo.
Yeah.
It's a very stark treatment of the band. I think reflecting the serious nature of the material.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are grooving here. Jeff, you want to ask me something while I figure out the next
I was going
record?
to say, I can pack that up a little bit
pack-
if you
pack
want to
this
work
up.
on the
Oh,
next
yeah.
one.
So, yeah, here we go.
Because we brought 4, so we want to get through a
We're
little
loose.
bit more of it.
So here's one near and dear to my heart. I wanted to get into JB. James Brown. Back in the day, so this is 20 all-time greatest hits. I think the title pretty much tells you what it is.
Yeah.
Note the exclamation point as if you weren't sure whether it really was all-time or greatest or hits, or that there were 20.
Or James Brown. I feel
Yeah.
like he is an exclamation point.
Right.
He's got that energy.
Notice the, hi, Cheryl Lutz Brown, wherever you are. Notice this was her idea. James Brown, right?
Yep.
I love that idea. But back in the day, there was a box set called Star Time that I had something to do with. And that year, the sales team at the time had come to my boss and said, we should do a CD cut down of the box. And I didn't understand the business. I was like, you can't. People should buy the box. They can't. You're going to steal. No, we're losing out because people are interested in James Brown. He was out of jail and out of prison and had done a pay-per-view special and was going on tour, and there was all this stuff going on. And Star Time had gotten all these great reviews and was going to win a Grammy Award. And, it was all very exciting for me. And they were like, listen, we should put this stuff out. We should put out a single disc cut down. So this is the treatment of this box set cover.
Mm-hmm.
With the Brown, and then I picked 20 songs. So, came out on vinyl recently, about 10 years ago. And then, as a little special added attraction, we put it out on red vinyl, which is the color of the box set. But
Wow.
isn't that cool?
That's nice.
Very cool.
I'm a sucker for the colored vinyls.
Color, and actually, a lot of the color vinyl now, even though we say, "Oh, it's not going to sound good," it sounds pretty good. We'll play. I'm going to play "Cold Sweat." I'm going to go to side 3 or C,
Excellent.
depending on. And I'm going to point out something funny, since we're in the weeds here.
Yeah. I think that's what we're here for. Get into the weeds.
But
So I want to
make
ask
sure
you
the
too with
record-
the history you have with James Brown, because I think that is a treasure trove. Would you say a deep?
I mean, James's history alone is
Yeah.
worth a couple-hour conversation, but.
That insert.
That's and then the back, we had minimal credits, and then I had this liner notes on the
Try and
CD,
get this up closer.
which we recreated as an insert. So
That's nice.
I'm gonna share something that I've never told anybody. So these are like kind of stream of consciousness notes based on stage introductions, the way people talk about James, the asides. And the writer has a pseudonym, which is Daddy Cool.
Okay.
So that's me. So
All right.
I wrote this.
Should we change your lower third? We
No, I
swap
had
that out.
No, I just had a kid, so
Oh.
I was Daddy Cool at
Yeah.
that time. So
I like
I made this up, just typing, and we did some edits, and anyway, music is more important. Cold Sweat, the big hit of '67. The ground zero for funk. Clyde Stubblefield, Give the Drummer Some. Here we go.
Excellent. Should we let this one stand alone, or should we talk a little bit about it while it goes?
I don't care about your past. I just want our love to last. I don't care, darling, about your thoughts. I just want to satisfy your faults. people can't pass a hit man.
All right, man. So we'll let the side play, but I just wanted to. The greatness of James Brown can never be overstated.
Yeah.
There's a great, I think it's Amiri Baraka said, if Elvis is king, what does that make James Brown? God? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
It's I think I'm lost for words for it because like my brain always goes to like the tree analogy and like the seed that's planted somewhere, and James Brown is like that seed that's connecting so many different
Who has
things.
his own influences.
Yeah.
You know, it just goes back.
Yeah.
I think for him, he's the. You think of, different figures in musical history and cultural history. He is probably maybe Ray Charles, but I think James is really the one who can stretch back to Louis Jordan and forward to hip hop.
Yeah.
And, he had a record on the chart for 20 years straight. You might not remember the later ones, but, he's sustained a career like nobody else, but also brought forward his influences in jazz and blues and jump blues and the big bands into his own expression, and kind of had these, all these cool little riffs and things. There's somebody in the band who's an arranger, but he's really pointing at guys and saying, you got it, you play, give the drummer some, come on, Jab, sharper now, hit me. These are all arrangements on the fly.
Yeah.
With a band who can execute them, right? It's got these great riffs. And then these ideas are on their own something that births a whole nother genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's just extraordinary. Because he had this incredible rhythmic sense. He had a great heartbeat. And, it just resonated, with creatives who didn't have access to a big band, but they had access to those records, right? And you could create something out of just that riff, or that little bit of the payback, or the funky drummer. Questlove, he once said, James Brown's least important single, like least charting single, Funky Drummer, which is not on any album. It was an in-between single that got quickly forgotten and thrown into all the used record stores, because of backup inventory. And because of that becomes the most important record in hip hop, because it's the record that gets sampled the most in the early, late 80s, early 90s. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? So, by the way, that just means you never know. You just never know.
I can't imagine how long the list of like albums that sample James Brown would be.
He's the most sampled artist ever. It's
Yeah.
over 12, 13,000 samples here and there, different tracks and productions. Even this track, this ended up in That's the Way Love Goes.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's favorite James Brown song, and they said we have to find a way to use it. So it's it's just they reinvent this riff. They didn't just have her sing over it. They reinvent this riff, this little
Yeah.
that little skip beat. Very cool.
Yeah.
We were talking while we were playing Cold Sweat, by the way, about influences in the music, both from James and then his band members. So someone like Pee Wee Ellis, who co-wrote Cold Sweat and would have arranged it. Does anybody know what the bottom, where that riff is from? Anybody in the chat want to take a pop quiz? Come on.
Yeah. We might have to wait on that one with
All right. Anybody
with
knows?
Chad, see if anybody's around.
Anybody wants to take a guess? But he incorporated a riff from one of his favorite records.
Yeah.
And retooled it to that track. So it's really interesting.
Like you're saying, in my mind, he's the beginning of it, but that's my naivete. Like,
No,
an
it's-
experience to the background behind him. Like, he's on the tree. He's one of the branches that has influences
Well,
from before him.
he's a
and the
very
influences-
strong root. He's a very strong root.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's in there with, you know, any of these guys, Louis Jordan, B.B. King, you know, anybody that started shit. I mean, there's an interesting viewpoint too, if you think of it from certainly how important he is in so many ways, just from his stance, what he stood for, his entrepreneurship. He had his own business. He stood up to his label. I mean, he stood up to, you know, a Midwestern record company owner who spoke with a gravelly voice and told all of his artists to go take a hike. And James challenged him at every turn, and he won every time. So, you know, had his own label, restructured a deal so they would only put out what he delivered. In 1965,
Yeah.
put out, you know, a live album in 63 that he recorded like on an amateur night at the Apollo Theater, and the label said no. And he said, well, I'll just pay for it myself. So King Records, that label, sent an engineer to record it, but James paid for it.
Yeah.
Crazy. The Live at the Apollo became the biggest live album of all time.
Yeah.
Just so so the thing I was going to get to, so you think about all that, but then also consider from the helicopter or even 30,000 foot view of
Yeah.
what is art in the 20th century.
Okay.
And you have a continuum where what is valued is harmony, chorus, European ideals, very Eurocentric ideal of what is popular music. And what James did is literally flip the value so that the bottom was more important. And that's the foundation of popular music from then on. That's what's most valued, right? It's got a
Yeah.
great beat I can dance to. I mean, that's the cliche from the old days of, hey, if you like it, yeah, it's got a great beat. That's James Brown. And so my friend who is an art historian said in his mind, Picasso, Kooning, you know, anybody you want to name, Louis Armstrong, who's probably up there. James Brown is the greatest artist, sculptor, dancer, musician, whatever you want to put in that. He's the greatest artist of our time because he foundationally changed how we perceive a particular art form.
Yeah.
I'll just put that out there.
Yeah. I don't think you get much contesting that. It'd be hard to make any other argument.
I love this record. Jesus. One of those songs that has been re-articulated and reconfigured in modern days. But back then was actually rejected. It was supposed to be for a soundtrack
Oh, wow.
for a movie called Hell Up in Harlem.
Okay.
Ended up having music by Edwin Starr, which had a big source sample called Easin' In. But the producer asked James Brown to do the music and delivered this song, and he was told it's not James Brown enough. It's not funky enough. Wait, just okay, not funky enough. I'm just checking. Anybody?
Yeah.
And they wrote it to the movie.
Yeah.
James was also.
I always say some people's kids. I don't know. Not funky enough doesn't seem to apply there.
Anyway, he again, independence, entrepreneurship, said, "I'll show you." Took it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the song is quiet as it's kept. We've talked about this in other liner notes, but apparently a girl that James liked was seeing Teddy Pendergrass. And he thought Teddy had stolen her, so he's, get ready, you mother, for the big paybacks. And by the way, for years, everybody's saying, I don't know karate, but I know crazy, which is not what he's saying. Anybody who saw him live would see him pull a phantom knife out of his boot when he was dancing. So I don't know karate, but I know razor.
Okay.
So he's razor, karate, razor. So he's making a play on words
Yeah.
for what that's worth.
Right.
Well, anyway,
I don't
available
think
on red
anybody in
vinyl.
chat took you up on your pop quiz.
All right.
You want to give them the answer? Give them the reveal?
Go listen to Kind of Blue. Go listen to track 1, So What? And tell me that sax riff is not, the horn riff is not incorporated into Cold Sweat.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Ellis brought that in as an homage.
Yeah.
Fred Thomas on bass, still kicking it, by the way. So, you know, uDiscoverMusic, got the coupon, red vinyl. He even says so. And then the little,
Oops. Where we're cut out there.
and you can see it on the turntable.
Yeah.
So we'll let this play out. I think we'll let this play out and be
Yeah, we
quiet
got it.
for a minute.
Got a few minutes of this?
Yeah, man.
Gotta deal with you. Gotta deal with you. Gotta deal with you. I gotta deal with you. Hey, let me tell you. Get down with my woman. That ain't right. You holler and cuss. You wanna fight. Look here. Don't do me no done favor. I don't know karate, but I know Karaza. Yes, we do. Hey, get ready. That's a fight, girl. Get ready, you mother, on a big payback. Hey, I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm the son of a man. But don't take care of you. Then pumpkin. Get ready for the big payback. Hey, hit me again. Lord, Lord. Yeah, get ready. I need a hit again. Same one, same one, same one. Hit the back. Lord. Sold me out to get changed. Said my woman had it all arranged. Tried to make a deal. She wants to squeal. But I had my voice on her heels. Saw when she come in, told a lie. She broke down and she wanted to cry. I don't care what she does. She won't be doing just like she was. Take those kids and raise them up. Somehow the drink got a righteous cup. Take her, take that woman. It's one place she found. Just run that mother out of town. Make her get up. Make her get up, get out. Make her get up. Make her get up, get out. I'm mad. I want revenge. I want revenge. My patience hinge on revenge. My patience hinge
Feels like my old radio days. James Brown. Payback from the album. 74. Big record. All right, let me pick up the needle.
Wait, throw it up one more time in case somebody joined while we were in there. And this is a new release on uDiscoverMusic.
Yeah.
You should see the links in chat if you're just joining us.
You got the
I've
sleeves.
got the sleeve over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Pass it on and on.
Oh, yeah, pass it
I'll
on.
pack it up while you move on.
Look at that,
to-
perfect. No fingers on the
That's
on the record.
Wonderful red.
Here, I'm just gonna pick up album 2 for a sec. For those of you who don't know, you let the record slide out, where you can kind of tug on a little right on the edge. Don't put your fingers on the record, and then get your middle finger there on the center. See, and you can just hold it without putting smudgies on it. I think I want to hear Mother Popcorn.
Okay.
See if I can get the needle straight on. without doing the scratch.
Baby, 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 I'm on now.
The end of I Got the Feeling.
Come on now.
Something funny I wanted to point out. It's not going to mean anything to anybody. So the original CD, 1 through 20. Vinyl, side A, 1 through 5. Side B, 1 through 6. Nope. Look what I did. Let me see. Nobody caught it. It's 1 through 20 on the record. There's no A, 1, 2, 3, B, 1, 2, 3, C, 1, 2, 3, D, 1, 2, 3. Small thing, but
Yeah.
the music is what matters.
Yep.
Oh, God. This record.
Some like a tall, some like a short. Skinny legs and all.
He had a song called "You Got to Have a Mother for Me."
I like 'em
Can we say what a mother is?
and when they walk,
I think so.
you know they
A
don't
woman with a
say.
big butt.
Specific body type.
Yes, yes. So he had a record called "You Got to Have a Mother for Me," but the popcorn had become a dance. So
Oh.
a popular dance. So he reconfigured "You Got to Have a Mother for Me" to the popcorn beat
Thought I was gonna.
Ah.
Somebody
and
got me.
called it "Mother Popcorn" instead of "You Got to Have a Mother for Me."
Yeah.
Still ahead of me.
So,
When I get
and it was a smash. And he had a hit with an instrumental called "The Popcorn," another instrumental called "Lowdown Popcorn." He had another record called "Let a Man Come In and Do the Popcorn," and this is the mother of them all, Mother Popcorn. But it's music nerds. It's an indication of the type musicianship that James already had, but was elevated by the introduction of Pee Wee Ellis as the arranger the year before, 2 years before.
Okay.
So 67 called Sweat is Pee Wee. 68 I Got the Feeling, which is super tight and complex. Say It Loud and Black and Proud, which is actually a little offbeat. That's Pee Wee Ellis. Same thing, this one is Pee Wee's arrangement. This intricate thing of the drummer doing these constant little ghost notes and skips and moving the pulse forward, and the horns coming in and out. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And James doing his own sort of percussive vocal thing. Talking about himself like any good hip hopper. You got to call Maceo, sax player. So he's arranging on the fly, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a basic construct, and then James is saying, "I'll tell you when I want the solo." Come on, let's see it. Don't mess around.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Usually the signal for the end of part 1.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Excellent.
We let this play out. Do you want to? No, give it up or turn it loose. It's another story.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have to play the song over and over again. So he starts the record. Yeah, the horns are very weak. Oh, he liked it, actually. He goes, ha. Now here the horns are weak here the second time. Nope. He says, start it over again. On the record.
Yeah.
Start it over again. He didn't like it. So they go to the head again. Okay, here we go. Horns are better. Ha, he likes it. All right, he's going to try them again. Huh. Strong. All right. On the record.
Yeah.
He cues them with a huh. They do it. Second time, doesn't like it. Says, start it over again. So they go back, cues him with the huh. They do it strong. He goes, he likes it. Then they do it the second time. He goes, all right. And they continue the song. It's just incredible. There's another thing at the end of this, which is, I think is on the version on the vinyl, which is not, the single is shorter. Mm-hmm. For the vinyl, we extended it a little, part one, because the bass player, Sweet Charles Sherrill, makes a mistake. And you hear, none of us would notice it unless you're a bass player and you're transcribing, right? And James yells out, no, 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 no. So it doesn't say no, stop the session. Is unhappy with the horns. Doesn't say, hey, all right, take two. It just says, start over again in rhythm.
Yeah.
Keeps going. Listening to James, sitting and listening, if you do you can dance too, but I mean, if you just sit and listen, there's little clues and signals and conversations going on. In addition to the musical conversations. I mean, the way he incorporates his percussive vocal is, it's mind-blowing. Yeah. I did a course on James Brown at NYU back east, and I would point these things out, just because I was learning it too. It wasn't an academic thing. It was more like
revelation. And
these revelations. So, Tony Oldham, greatest hits. Nope, that's the single version without the no. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can hear it somewhere online. All right, let's get the needle off the record.
Yeah.
Keep
And
going.
I'm sure you've all been here, but if you're just joining us, that was James Brown. The links are in chat. uDiscoverMusic, where you can grab a copy for yourself.
I don't know. It's all part of the continuum. It's a little bit of a segue, but we all love Steely Dan. For those of you who don't know, Steely Dan was a band started by two guys, Donald Fagen, Walter Becker. Eventually, it becomes just the two of them, and they hire studio musicians to kind of run it down. They're very particular about their sound, about the words, which are often obscure, sometimes on purpose. But they have some of the greatest musicians playing with them. Gaucho was their seventh album. The challenge here was this was the follow-up to Aja, AJA, which was the black cover. That has the, probably their most popular. But this incredibly sounds just as amazing. Yeah. And has some great songs on here. Babylon Sisters, Hey 19, Time Out of Mind. This is not an original pressing, just so you know. I think it's important so you know that because Donald and, rest in peace, Walter, were very particular about their sound, we did not have reissues for a very, 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 very long time. Particularly vinyl. Records were on CD, but not on vinyl. And we ended up in a partnership with Acoustic Sounds where they would do a very, 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 very high-end version of the record, be approved by Donald, and we would take then their digital copy of their master. And we would cut their own vinyl, which would be approved by Donald's team. So, talk about your A+ game. Really have to be on top of it to please all factors, including the fans of their sound who have not been happy with things through the years. So we really bore down on this. It came out in 1980, seventh album. They had been on ABC Records. ABC was absorbed by MCA, so this is their first album on MCA. There's the logo from the 80s. And it just sounds incredible. It's on 180-gram vinyl, uDiscover.com, uDiscoverMusic.com.
And you called out the label, the cover art. Is this the original cover art
Yes, always.
as well?
And the original inner sleeve with all the lyrics and credits. We're going to start with side A, Babylon Sisters.
And you mentioned reissues. Can I
Yeah,
Can
before
I-
I go.
dig out a little bit of the definitions on reissues and repressings and that nature? Because this was originally 1980, and so it would have been their team working on the original release
Right, and hadn't been on vinyl since then.
at all. Wow.
There may have been others. I'm sure anybody watching or listening will have the history of
Yeah.
the Steely Dan reissues. I don't have that in front of me. There may have been Mobile Fidelity may have done one. There may have been repressings from the original MCA pressing. But really, it had been the Steely Dan catalog in terms of our day-to-day existence had been dormant
Yeah.
on vinyl. We enter into a partnership where we're going to do it.
Mhm.
Wow, we're going to get the original tapes that made those records. And we're going to have Bernie Grunman cut a master. And then I have Alex Abrash on my side. Bernie's going to cut his from the analog, and we're going to get a digital copy. And high res, and Alex Abrash, who does amazing work, is going to cut the lacquer and get it approved, which we did, and this was the result.
So that's like what I was picking out there. Is this is a reissue then?
This is
So
a
going
reissue.
back
This is
to
not
source.
back
doing
to the
all
best
that work.
source. Correct.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. It would have been, Bill Schnee, Elliot Shiner. Bill Schnee had won a Grammy for Asia for the engineering. He worked on this. Elliot Shiner did the mix down. Roger Nichols, who was a longtime engineering associate of the group, did all the original albums on CD for digital, was involved in this as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so side A, Babylon Sisters, Steely Dan Gaucho.
Drive west on Sunset to the sea. Turn that jungle music down just until we're out of town. This is no one night stand, it's a real occasion. Close your eyes and you'll be there. It's everything they say. The end of a perfect day. Distant lights from across the bay. Babylon sister, shake it. Babylon sister, shake it. So fine, so young. Tell me I'm the only one. much faster from a shell. San Francisco, show and tell. Well, I should know by now that it's just a spasm, like a Sunday in TJ, that it's cheap but it's not free, that I'm not what I used to be, and that love's not a game for three. Babylon sister, shake it. Babylon sister, shake it. So fine, so young.
Tell me I'm the only one. Here come those Santa winds again.
My friends say no, don't go for that cotton candy. Son, you're playing with fire. The kid will live and learn as he watches his bridges burn from the point of no return.
Babylon sister, shake it. Babylon sister,
band. First two cuts on the Gaucho record, just recently reissued on 180 gram vinyl, which is a miracle. Very happy
Yeah.
we got to do it. We've done 5 of the 7 ABC MCA albums. Katie Lyde and Royal Scam will come next year, but we've done Can't Buy a Thrill, Countdown to Ecstasy, Asia, Gaucho, and there's one more and I'm completely blanking. But, Babylon Sisters is great. It has great drummer Bernard Purdy, Chuck Rainey on bass, just another amazing bass player with, all-star horns and backup singers, including Lonnie Groves, who sang with Stevie Wonder. The opening You Are the Sunshine of My Life, which has this female voice and then a male voice who's not Stevie, that's Lonnie. Patty Austin is on this. And Hey 19 is, Walter Becker plays bass. It's really cool. I don't have headphones on. Just want to be sure. You can hear me over the music, right?
Yeah.
Great. Hey 19 always reminds me of the challenges of catalog because of his line, where they're with a young girl who doesn't know who Aretha Franklin is. And this is in 1980. This is 44 years ago. She don't remember the Queen of Soul? Hard times befallen the soul survivors. She thinks I'm crazy, but I'm just growing old. So, the challenge is to keep these artists' legacies alive and growing.
Yeah.
Not just to be nostalgic, but to have them live. And sometimes that's through TV ads or syncs in films, or someone discovers them on TikTok, doesn't know the context of the history and doesn't need to.
Yeah.
But there's a new purpose for a song that has some meaning for them in this moment. That's all great. We talk sometimes about the 100-year songs, and what are those? Someone like, which we'll segue into later, with Sinatra, Frank Sinatra. But
the 3.5 part of 1824, our team has had a huge bump on social doing historical posts. We have a few people on the team that dig in and do like what you're doing, a reference point of like, this is the history and the importance of this song that's already today, 20, 30, 40 years old, why we're still talking about it today, where it came from, how many things it influenced. And like, people grab onto that and want to learn that. Like you're just saying, like, when was this released? And people were
1980.
Still looking for that information. There's some education going on right in the song.
Yeah, and it still sounds good.
Yeah.
So without dating myself too much, just in terms of a reference point, if in 1980 you were around and listening to music and you were going to go and someone was going to either tell you or you discovered on your own music from 45 years earlier, that's 1935.
Yeah.
Just from a technical standpoint, you might like this Benny Goodman, Louis Armstrong, Lionel Hampton, early Ella Fitzgerald record, Louis Armstrong. You might like it, but the technical challenge and the drawback is music until the 50s, music sounded old and tinny just because of the way things were recorded. They didn't have the technological advances. So music from 1980 or recording from 1980 has at least a sound that you can relax, you feel comfortable listening to it. You're not going, you're not trying to overcome a technical challenge, I don't think.
Yeah.
Where, 30s and 40s, the music sounds thin. It just does. Yeah. So even music from the 60s and 70s, the 70s, which is being, sampled quite a bit, particularly, or 90s R&B, which is now has a certain texture to it. Music from the 30s and 40s has no texture. It doesn't. So it's a different vibe. That's why I think the catalog that we're really leaning into has more of this kind of. This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Steve Gadd on drums. It can't fake that funk. So
Yeah.
That's what I like about all this. I like being able to kind of uncover it and also make it new again.
Yeah.
We're going to let this one play out, and then we'll get to
The
some
last
more
piece
classics.
you brought today.
Yeah. We'll dial even further back, speaking of earlier decades.
Yeah.
But I think we'll have an example of someone who's got that 100-year, stickiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the end of side one. Gaucho, Steely Dan, that's Glamour Profession. That's such a sweet guitar solo by Steve Kahn.
Yeah.
Again, hired, for the session. But Gaucho on vinyl, uDiscoverMusic.com. I'm going to go to turn here and
Yeah.
take it off.
Pull that one and we'll move on to the last one that we brought today, like you said.
Here you go. Remember,
If I
there you
may.
go. See?
Yep.
Sides. Careful. We're going to do a little unboxing.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the classic artists from decades prior to when music technically began sounding better and warmer, and you could kind of do things with it. But it doesn't mean that things from prior decades are not worth listening to over and over again. Someone like this, Frank Sinatra, who, has really entered into the realm of someone who's got those 100-year-old songs. I mean, not literally at the moment, but still someone that just sustains it. Fly Me to the Moon, It Got the World on a String, Wee Small Hours.
Yeah.
New York, New York, My Way, Strangers in the Night, Night and Day, The Lady's a Tramp. Goes on and
Yeah.
on. He's a classic, and he's really sustained. His estate has really sustained his legacy in a beautiful way, as have we at UME. And one thing we did last year is put together this box set in collaboration with the estate. And why we did it was it focuses on his Capitol Records era, and why that matters. You're gonna do the honors.
Let me
here.
see if I
Open
can-
it, and we'll do a little unboxing. There's a little plastic still on it. Sinatra had been kind of this skinny crooner on Columbia Records and had some hits, and was a phenomenon like Bieber and Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley, were a lot of screaming girls and things, and really fallen out of favor. by the early 50s.
Okay.
And Capitol Records gave him a shot. He luckily got a movie role in From Here to Eternity, which was a breakthrough, and simultaneously it signed to Capitol. And when this came out last year, was the 70th anniversary of him signing to Capitol. So to celebrate that, the estate put together a package of highlights from his Capitol era, which you see some of the, if you can see this song's tracks on the back. And what I love, I don't remember who, and we all agreed on the back cover image. I love this image because you know that's Frank if you're following his aesthetic and his vibe at all. You just know from the trench coat, the hat to the side, the walk, that's Frank. What I really love about it is a little extra special is that where he's walking his Capitol Records studios being built, and he's walking the halls because basically they're building it for him and Nat King Cole and some of these other folks. But he's walking the halls. You can, when you get the package, you can see the floorboards and what do they call the kick, the kick at the bottom has not been completed. So he's exploring the rooms. Studio A became his go-to, and his original vocal mic is still there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Capitol is not yet open for business. A couple of years ago, it went on renovation, a little earthquake remediation. I think we want that.
Yeah.
But the original reverb is not being touched, which is underground, and the studios are being kind of well taken care of. It's a really nice, elaborate package.
I was going to say, we
might
might need
need
to
two
make room
hands.
for this.
Might need
Because it's got this flap
great,
here.
kind of the story. Yeah, take the flap off. It's got that actually.
That doesn't come out, does it? Oh, we can take
It does
that.
come out. It's a protective
Yeah,
flap.
we'll keep that though.
Yeah. But it's got the story of him signing to Capitol, great photos. And each flap here is an album with the track lists, and there's his signature.
Amazing.
But it's got great quotes from his arrangers, quotes from Frank, all the recording dates. Him just intensely reading the sheet music. Frank was known to do just a couple of takes with the band, man, no overdubs.
Wow.
Anybody screwed up, it's James Brown, start over again, but he wouldn't leave it on the record. That's the difference. I think the one I wanted to play, and there's some great little extras on here. There's radio spots he did a movie called A Hole in the Head, which had a song called High Hopes. So High Hopes is on here, but then there's a radio spot where he does different takes as a come on to go to the movie. Is kind of cool.
Because I always got that impression too, like you said, that he was professional and what's the word I want to say here? Specific. So like any of those bad takes aren't really out there. So it's interesting. The are you saying there's multiple takes of the radio call out?
There's a couple little asides where he's like on some of these on the session takes was like, come on, let's do it again, or why don't we play it since we're talking about it.
Okay.
Being very careful here.
Hold on.
And look, we have custom labels.
Very nice.
Fun to work on.
Yeah, interesting packaging. Very, very much a crossover between a book of records.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit on the shelf, but it's a special package.
I mean, that feels like Frank. He wants this out on your table, out on a shelf on its own, right?
Actually, there's a great book you can find used, and maybe somewhere in your local store or Amazon, called "The Way You Wear Your Hat."
Okay, yeah.
It's not a history of Frank. It's about carrying yourself the way Frank did. All right. I'm going to play the radio spots. We're just going to go right for it. All right. And then cut off the mic so they can hear it.
Yeah.
United Artisan, spot one, take one. One. right.
United Artists, spot number 1, take 2.
1, 2.
Just what makes that little old ant think he'll move that rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant. You know why? Because that ant's got a hole in the head. So does nearly everyone else in hole in the head. Edward G. Robinson, Eleanor Parker, Carolyn Jones, Thelma Ritter, Keenan Wynn. Especially the wonderful new youngster, Eddie Hodges, star of Music Man. You'll love Hole in the Head. This is Frank Sinatra telling you to see Frank Capra's Hole in the Head. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
United Artists, spot number 2, take 1.
1, 2.
Once there was a silly old ram, thought he'd punch a hole in a dam. No one could make that ram scram. He kept punching that dam. You know why? Because that ram had a hole in the head. This is Frank Sinatra saying that Edward G. Robinson has a hole in the head. Eleanor Parker's got a hole in the head. Carolyn Jones has got a hole in the head. Thelma Ritter's got a hole in the head. And Keenan Wynn's got a hole in the head. We all got holes in our heads. If you miss it, that fabulous youngster Eddie Hodges, star of Music Man, then you'll have a hole in your head. See Frank Capra's Hole in the Head right away. Pink, boink.
UA, spot number 2, take 2.
You know how to fix it? Just a shade
I
slower.
mean, those spots go on for a while, but it's
Yeah.
pretty funny to hear, you know, him like trying to get all the words in because
Right.
spots had to be 58 seconds or whatever they were at the
Right.
time. And he sings
Yeah.
with a live band, and he's got ad copy.
Yeah. A whole different time.
Whole different time, energy.
Just hearing him go back over it and do the takes. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I've heard or seen much, behind the scenes kind of Frank.
Right. Well, you're talking about an artist who had great timing.
Yeah.
He had a sense of what worked and what didn't. And he didn't brook any slacking. You know.
Yeah.
And he had to lead. If he didn't brook any slacking, he couldn't slack. He'd be like, oh, I'll fix it later, or, whatever.
Yeah. And this
Yeah,
is
somebody was knocking. He didn't hear a knock.
and this is the fourth record in the pack here.
And here he's,
Oh, where's he go next?
he's doing the same spot, but with a different song.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a little behind the scenes, I think it's
Yeah.
worth it for the beautiful package, but, I get a kick out of you, young at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I've got you under my skin. Witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Come fly with me. That's, This is from LP4 of the box. LP3 are all the highlights. And LP4 are some extra stuff. Session takes, alternates, these radio spots. Frank working through Got a Crush on You. It's really cool.
So I wanna jump in on what you said there because I was going through the fact that this is 4 LPs, and you said 3 is kind of some highlights. As you're putting this together, because you had, I see your credit here, project manager. You had heavy hands on this.
Not too heavy.
invested hands. Who gets to work on the arrangement of the track order?
Well, it depends on the artist.
Yeah.
It depends on what the intent is. And it depends on what you're trying to say or what, in this case, the estate wants to say. So in this case, the estate was very aware that over the years there have been a lot of compilations. And this could be both an entry-level package and also for a collector who maybe has everything but wants some different things.
Mm-hmm.
So there aren't all of the obvious songs. It's not meant to
Okay.
be greatest hits from the Capitol era, wink, wink. it's meant to be a little deeper dive. So the estate really is the one that chooses them. There's a gentleman named Charlie Pignon who runs the estate along with Tina Sinatra and other members of the family and other people on a board. So that gets filtered through to me, where I have to execute making the thing,
Yeah.
finding the best sources, working with them on the best sources, suggesting side breaks. How much do you want to pile into one side? Or generally, Frank's songs were similar lengths in the era. You weren't really over 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Much so 6 songs aside were pretty good, which we did consistently in LP 1, 2, 3. LP 4, we have 5 songs because they're different lengths, and then we've got Frank not joking with the band
Yeah.
on these radio spots that go on for a bit. So, the curation, what you're asking about, really like 20 all-time greatest hits, like I kind of decided what those were, and I actually left off Out of Sight, which was a hit.
Yeah.
The idea was you got to get it from maybe a bigger package at the time. Not everything, we didn't have streaming. Not everything was streaming. Now we do. So
Yeah.
Sometimes you may be someone who is deep into the artist's culture, and you understand that maybe there's a B-side that has more importance.
Yeah.
I had a package from an artist I'm not going to name, not disparagingly at all. This is more positive, but we really needed their approval. Traditionally had not gotten an approval for this particular genre type of thing we were doing.
Yeah.
But I added a song I knew this artist really liked that was not a traditional greatest hit, even though it had been a chart record. It was not a record that had sustained and become one of those 100-year songs.
Yeah.
But I knew it was a favorite, and I liked it too. So I added it to the collection, and I got it approved. That record is now platinum, so I thought it was a good little move.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a cynical move. I don't want anyone to think that we're making sort of cynical moves. It was really, listen, we're sincere here. We understand where you're coming from, and understand that this reflects your personal vision.
Yeah.
It's not just the record company saying, we're doing this, please approve. It's, we'd like to do this, and we'd like your input, and from your input, I gather that this song might help round out the collection.
Yeah.
And that was my approach, and that was at the time, the right way to go.
Yeah.
So there's other, situations where, you have something that may be for a specific retailer, a big box, where you have to kind of go balls to the wall, number ones, just all the biggest records in one thing,
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're curating for a super fan, right? I'm working on a Bon Jovi thing now where, we went into our vault and their respective vault to find things that had not come out. So some live things that, at the time originally, X number of decades ago, the band felt it didn't reflect a certain standard of quality. But looking back, the rawness is what is interesting.
Yeah.
That's something they want to uncover. There was a documentary where John's really being vulnerable about his voice being bad, or having to overcome some issues with surgery, and it's an emotional time. But to reflect back years ago and see, oh, here's where I was jumping around on stage so much that it didn't really sound great. Although in retrospect, it sounds amazing. It's an incredible document of this amazing time. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's a difference in curation there.
Right. That's amazing.
Frank's talking back to the band. They're joking.
Yep.
There's a little hope in the trumpet section of, is he really joking, or do I got to pack up? They're laughing.
They may take the needle off the record at that point, and it's over. I'm your big and brave and handsome Romeo. How I won you, I shall never.
Well, that's behind the scenes at Capitol
Yeah.
Studios. Frank Sinatra,
Oh,
And
that
who's
was that was done.
March 3rd, 1960, with
Wow.
Nelson Riddle. Yeah, the last one, the Hole in the Head, was with Nelson Riddle also. And we're going to close out Memories of You. The session takes with Alex Stordahl, who was a great composer as well and arranger.
Wow.
So those are some, you know, we vary. We vary from Sinatra to Bob Marley, to James Brown, to Steely Dan, to Bon Jovi, Nirvana.
Yeah.
We're
All
just,
available
we're
on
everywhere.
uDiscoverMusic.
uDiscoverMusic.com.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you all day, and it's been a pleasure digging into the catalog stuff, and A&R of catalog is
Yeah, it's fun.
it's a
to
whole
talk
different
about.
version of frontline A&R and like discovering the
Yeah,
new
we're
stuff.
not.
Yeah.
I often get solicitations to listen to things, or people. I don't sign anybody. It's an A&R. Frank's much more interesting than me, but is the application of you're representing artist and repertoire. For artists who are no longer signed, who have a vast, deep catalog, artists who have passed on, who have a vast and deep catalog, artists who are currently signed, whose legacy goes back decades.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you got to be nimble through all that in terms of what you're representing and how you understand the catalog, and how you work with the catalog and work with the estate, work with an artist.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for coming by, but we'll let this finish out. And yeah, which camera cut are we taking here?
You got to get the angle right. There we go.
Yeah. Once this finishes out, what would you recommend? We can finish one more record today. Should we throw on?
I would play. Oh yeah,
I recognize some of my favorites from LP2 here.
I would go to LP2. I would go to side 1 or 2. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I would go to side 2 because you've got All the Way, Moonlight in Vermont, Come Fly With Me, Only the Lonely. Whew, man, Something's Got to Give, and All My Tomorrows.
Yeah.
Serious Business.
Right. That's going to be great. Again, everybody watching at home, this was Harry Weinger.
You got it.
I don't say it out loud often enough that my brain was trying to rewire it there. And I'm Jeff with 3.5. We'll let this play, and we'll throw another record on before we close out for today. But thanks for tuning in, and hang around for some more Frank.
See you next time.
For a cunning cottage that we could share, the world will pardon my mush, 'cause I have got a crush, my baby, on you.
Master E3336, take 6.
How glad the many how glad
36466, take 1.
Remember, in bars, gentlemen and ladies, in bar 1 and 2 and 9 and 10 and 25 and 26, extremely piano, double piano. Does remember where you anybody plays in there, just play it, just breathe it. Now 41's up, don't worry about that.
Take 1.
skies at sunrise, every sunset too seems to be bringing me memories of you. Here and there, everywhere, scenes that we once knew, and they all just recall memories of you. How I wish I could forget those happy yesteryears that have left a rosary. One more time for me round. Whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. Brandy, brandy, brandy. It's cold up here. Send a dog with the brandy. Ba ba ba.
Go. Master E, 36466, take 3.
Waking skies at sunrise, every sunset too seems to be bringing me memories of you. Here and there, everywhere, scenes that we once knew, and they all just recall memories of you. How I wish I could forget those happy yesteryears that have left a rosary of tears. Your face beams in my dreams, spite of all I do. Everything seems to bring memories of you. And your face beams in my dreams, spite of all I do. just memories. Oh,